It's fun to hear about what Oakland and San Francisco are doing. But when I hear Jack talk, I don't know about any of the rest of you in this room, I get a tiny little headache because I'm like, when do I have time to look at all of, fluorinated chemicals or, any sort of the ADA issues with straws and plastic foodware. And so I am grateful to you for kind of forging a path for the rest of us and talking to BPI. I've been in some of those talks already, but I don't want to, when I give you this presentation, it's going to be slightly different if you've seen it earlier this year. I don't want you to think that I'm not concerned about these things. It's more that I don't want to sully the message. Because in a smaller city with fewer staff, fewer resources, I can't get down to the nitty-gritty details in quite the same way. So thank you for doing that work for me. So, City of Alameda passed the disposable foodware reduction law last year. It was in September of last year. And it was effective as of January 1 of this year and enforceable as of July 1 of this year. And I'm going to take you through it a little bit. Some of you have seen some of this before, and some of you have not. Oh no, I can't see some of it. Okay. So, on this side, so why straws? The poor turtle and the letters from kids. In 2017, there was a letter writing campaign. And basically it was writing to our council members and mayor saying, hey, you gotta stop these poor turtles are getting straws in their noses and you gotta stop. And there was over 300 letters that were written to council that basically moved them to ask staff to explore it. That was in June of 2017. In July of 2017, we came forward with a proposed ordinance and they said, yes, explore that even further. In September, we passed it. So this is quick, quick, quick. And I bet a lot of your councils are doing something similar to you. And in this year, in 2018, over 600 letters were sent to restaurants. It was the kids' favorite restaurants, right? So McDonald's, like this one, received 75 letters. Saying, and that was the favorite, right, McDonald's, that I love your cheeseburgers, but please do not give me plastic with those cheeseburgers, right? Do we really need a straw? Oh, look, there they are. I like animations, I'm sorry, that's how it works. So during this whole process last year, some of the most environmentally minded folks and my public works director and the council were saying, Alameda will make straws available only on request and move towards recyclable and compostable foodware. And then they just imagined some magic would happen, right? And I'm like, what? Right? Like, how do I even define that to the public, to the businesses? What am I restricting and how am I restricting it? What can they use and what can they not use? So, this is interesting. Okay, great. So, in 2008, so basically what we did was, in that exploratory time last summer, we said that we would amend our 2008 polystyrene foam food serviceware reduction law, and to add this straws on request provision. So yes, we have a straws on request provision. And in that old law, it said that all foodware must be compostable. But we didn't define what that meant. And in Alameda, it's really a very specific thing. But we didn't touch it. We didn't have a very big staff, and I was like, I don't even know what to do. We have to enforce this styrofoam thing that's easier to identify. No styrofoam cups, no clamshells. Let's enforce that. And in fact, it was fairly simple to do that. We didn't get a lot of resistance. So I think that because of the successes of the polystyrene law, we were like, oh yeah, we can do the straws thing. It'll be a piece of cake. But in my mind, I'm thinking about this compostable foodware thing, just like the rest of you probably are. So we added the the straws provision, right? And we renamed it the Disposable Food Serviceware Reduction Law. And you're going to start to see how this source reduction specialist wanted to just really kind of figure out what did it all mean, right? How are we going to tackle this? So these were exhibits from the original council meeting last September, where they passed this straws on request provision, where I first started telling the businesses and the public what we meant by compostable, and by that we meant compostable fiber, period, right? Wood, paper, bamboo, that is all, and we weren't going to stray from that. So Alameda's policy then has this sort of look to it. I hope you can see it from in the back. It's kind of faint, but that there's your paper straws, there's your paper cups, and paper plates, wooden foodware, and still, straws are only available on request, but if you provide one, it must be compostable fiber. So that's what happens. So there's our new ordinance. Okay. But what is recyclable? Didn't we say that in the lead up to this whole lawmaking process? Does anybody else get a little headache at that question? Right? With all that we're faced right now with National Sword and everything else, what is recyclable? Martin, if you, as a processor, if you're looking at all of the foodware, how much of that is recyclable? I check on the bottom or whatever. Right, not recyclable. And the beauty of our 2008 styrofoam ordinance is that what is recyclable is that an exemption in our earlier ordinance was that you could use foil or aluminum trays, period. That's the exemption. So that's the recyclable bit. So we made a graphic for that, so we could satisfy that statement that everybody was saying. And clarifying that really the rest of it is not recyclable. Then reusable. So at the very same time that I'm exploring the straws ordinance, as we mentioned earlier, we had been awarded a pilot project from Clean Water Action's ReThink Disposable, and we called it Unpackaging Alameda. And so that project began to influence how we rewrote the ordinance. And so reusable then is actually named in the ordinance, and it's also named in the resolution itself. Like, you know, the whereases say that reusable is preferable to anything else. So then we're basically making a new standard. So, I hope you can read this at all. So Alameda's messaging, we're really kind of leaning on this reusable is best. That if we have to create an anchor for anything, we're going to always go back to that. And that's going to be important in a second. That compostable fiber is great. This is the messaging we chose, you know, but definitely in that signal light way, right? Reusable is best. Compostable fiber is great. Plastic is going away. Any kind of plastic. Compostable plastic is not compostable, nor plastic, nor anything usable that we can actually believe. So we are leaning on this. I was a Montessori preschool teacher in a previous life. Everything goes from left to right, everything of importance, right? So then there was the big question for those who need straws to consume beverages, right? This came up, of course, as everybody heard it, at the very same time in the Bay Area as San Francisco and Alameda are facing this new law. And so this is the review that you were talking about earlier, Jack. Disposable plastic straws suck. Try these disability-friendly alternatives. So this review came out in May last year, luckily. And the highest rated reusable straw is a silicone straw. And in this, oh, 1 minute. So in the model is that if I'm gonna look for an answer, the reusable answer is what we're going to go with. So what we did was we purchased City of Alameda purchased 500 silicone straws, and I have a very good relationship with the chair of the Commission on Disability in Alameda, and we will mail a straw to anyone who requests one. Anyone. And that's our answer for now. We don't think that an accommodation for a plastic straw is really where we should move towards. And we'll see if we run into anything with that. And that's the thing, we're Alameda, not San Francisco or Oakland, so we get a little bit of movement on that. So quickly, enforcement for calendar year 2018 has been super gentle. We have sent out friendly reminders to businesses who we receive complaints via See-Click Fix that they have plastic straws or plastic foodware, because plastic foodware is all gone. I don't know if I mentioned that earlier. We're offering a lot of technical assistance, and ReThink Disposable is in town, and 2019 forward, we're gonna get heavier on it. I'm gonna be, I have my colleague Mark in the room who's going to help me with enforcement beginning this next year, and we are going to really see if we can whip this into shape. The fines for it, there's first a warning, then $250, $500, $1,000 for each fine. Is that per straw? Because it doesn't matter, it all pollutes the marine environment. No matter what you try to name it, it all pollutes the marine environment. We want to get away from it. This is just a mention of the Unpackaging Alameda project that's in town. This is one restaurant. They went from all disposable, look, it's compostable fiber, you guys, to reusable. And we have had that in how many restaurants now to date?
About 40 certified and about 80 in process.
80 restaurants in the city of Alameda. You guys. So that's it for joining the foodware revolution. If you have questions, ask.
Thanks to our panel here. Can we give them all another round?